It's Song Talk Radio.
Welcome to Song Talk Radio. This is a show with songwriters talking to other songwriters about the craft of songwriting. We share tips, tools, and techniques, and together we all become better at writing songs. I'm your host, Neil Modi, and with me, my co-host, Mr. Phil Emery. How are you, Phil?
I am here and very excited to be here as well.
And we're excited to have you too. Our listeners, please send your comments and questions to @SongTalkRadio on Twitter, Facebook, or Instagram, or feedback@songtalk.ca, and we'll share your thoughts on the show. And please visit us, songtalk.ca, to find out how you can be a guest. And before we get to tonight's very exciting guest, Phil's got a little something to share. What's on your brain there, Phil?
Well, in our studio corner, I've been trying to control reverb in my studio. Right now, I'm doing the work in my office, but we'll be moving down to my actual studio where I have all my instruments and stuff.
Okay.
So I've been trying to deal with, reflections off the wall. So I got some of this acoustic foam from Donner's, from like Amazon.com. And it's not too expensive. You can spend hundreds of dollars on this stuff. This is fairly inexpensive, but apparently it does a fairly decent job. Came in a very, very thin little envelope. And it was like 12 or 24 sheets of this stuff. And it was like literally about this big in a 9x10 envelope. So you open it up, and of course it's been vacuum sealed. So they have two directions on how to deal with it. One is to take it out of the package and let it sit around for a couple of days. But they also have another method where you soak it in water, wring it out, let it dry, and then put it out. So I figured I'd do that because I figured it would be nice and clean. If you happen to be doing this and you get some kind of acoustic foam and you have to let it expand, do not put it underwater because it has been drying since Friday, and it is not dry yet.
Oh, no. You can't like put it out in the sun?
I have. This stuff, I don't know what the heck this is. Maybe we should put it out in like the Sahara and rehydrate it. This thing is not giving up any of its water at all. It's very funny, but hopefully it'll help with some of the reverb issues that I've been struggling with.
So you're not able to use it quite yet, so
Well, I've got some of it stuck on some of the walls, so we'll see how it does. But it's still kind of damp. Yeah,
that's always a concern for. I'll be honest. I have one of those vocal booth things, like the mini acoustic booth thing, and then I tend to just throw down a rug and have soft things in the room. I've never used the acoustic treatment, but I record a lot of MIDI, so I don't care most of the time.
But for the voice stuff, it can help to deaden the sound,
Yeah, for sure. That's always a concern, especially when you're starting out. Like when starting out, recording at home is like reflections everywhere and ambience and like this weird ringing in the background. Like, what is that? That's your room.
Yeah, that's the thing about studios. They spend a lot of money on acoustic treatment, not necessarily making it dead, but making it controllable.
Yeah, just controlled. So it's tuned sort of in the right way. Awesome. All right. Well, we look forward to the update once you get them all up and try some tests, and
maybe next Tuesday.
And we'll see. Next week's podcast, we'll see the update on that. All right. Very cool, Phil. Okay, tonight we're happy to have Mississauga-based hip-hop artist Vivek Mehmi. And here's a taste of his new track, Around Your Finger.
You got this way of wrapping me around. You got this way of wrapping me around your finger, around your fingertips, and I just linger, trying to get a grip. You're flowing in my veins, you live inside my brain. Rent-free, tempt me, but no longer will I play your games. I wanna let it flow, I wanna let you go. It's never easy with you, always so difficult. When I think about it, I'll admit I don't know when I should quit, cause I can't make you commit. I'm just trying to make it fit into something that clearly ain't. Had a picture I tried to paint, didn't wanna feel this constraint. Things we do for love in vain. Yo, it's
Vivek
insane.
utilizes musical expression as a way of healing. When faced with a life-challenging ailment, he was forced to examine the darkest and most challenging parts of life and transmute them with his art. It became a much-needed cathartic outlet to cope with the hardship and transition he faced and still continues to battle. Vivek's art has been recognized and supported by the SOCAN Foundation, Mississauga Business Entrepreneur Center, and Mississauga Arts Council. In 2021, Vivek won the People's Choice Awards at the Mac Music Spotlight for his video Rubik's Cube. His latest collaboration as a featured artist was placed on the popular Japanese TV show soundtrack Promised Cinderella. Recently, Vivek's talent was recognized by the Mississauga Arts Council, and he was announced as a finalist in the Emerging Solo Vocalist category at the 2022 Mississauga Arts Awards. Welcome to Song Talk Radio, Vivek Mehmi.
Hey, nice to be here. Thank you for having me.
To have you here. So you're a hip hop based artist. So can you give us a rundown of your general process for creating a song, creating a track? Where do you start?
I mean, I think we talked a little bit about it offline, but it's not traditional. Like 100% varies from track to track. And I think, you know, it really it goes along with what's going on in my life. As you so nicely put it in my introduction, like I've been through some health challenges, right? So different parts of my healing journey have allowed me to like kind of tap into different things. Sometimes, you know, it's laying verses down to an instrumental that you hear from like a popular song, right? You start by, and I think a lot of that's not, you know, different from a lot of hip hop artists. A lot of hip hop artists probably, when they first start out, they put their vocals to instrumentals. So, you know, whether that be like, you know, something I hear on Spotify or something that's just from my childhood or something that really engaged with me, like I'll put verses to that. Sometimes, like, in recent years, I started, I wouldn't say like I'm a full-on producer, but I'd be more like a beat maker now. But sometimes I find it's hard to collaborate with producers and get the kind of sound you want. So I started venturing into creating my own beats and I guess producing my own stuff. And so with Around Your Finger, the process was, you know, like I would open up my Logic and, you know, load up a couple VSTs and then just start playing with samples. And in addition to that, I like to, you know, and I think a lot of hip hop artists probably use it, and maybe you all know too. A lot of artists in general use Splice for samples, so it's a good way of accessing like sounds. And with the Splice for this particular song, I found this Muna drum kit, loop drum kit, and it just had this 80s vibe, and I was like, I just, something about it, like I love 80s music. I love, you know, like the synths. I love the drums. I love it all. And so I heard that drum kit, and so I resampled the drum kit. I like kind of recreated it in like the actual loop, so I could, you know, break down each instrument and focus on, you know, like Phil was saying, like, you know, add reverb just to like a snare, or like, you know, have my mixing engineer allow him to, you know, process individual drum tracks. And from there, it just kind of like took on this, like its own thing. Like I found these like rewind drums in a VST in Logic, and that kind of really complemented the kit. And then it just like started becoming more like funky and more like tapping into like 80s with like, if you go to the like hook, which you didn't hear in the intro, but there's like this like David Bowie horn section, and like it just really started from there. And then I so when I listened back to the beat, I'm like, okay, this doesn't sound like something like I would traditionally rap on, like a rapping kind of song. So I'm like, okay, maybe I can approach my rap or my vocal from a different way. And it just really resonated with me that maybe like I need to sing rap on it. Kind of, I'm no Drake, but I think it worked out. So that's the start of it. Yeah, but for other tracks, like I really, like I said, it really depends on where I'm at with the healing journey. Sometimes a track for me is like 2 minutes. Sometimes it's like I'm finding the sweet spot really, like, in terms of getting it to radio, getting it like just without like really losing too much attention. Or what's a sweet spot for me is like around 3 minutes, just under 3 minutes, just over 3 minutes. And that I find maybe some of your other artists can and maybe, Neil and you can, attest, like sometimes shorter is good. Like, especially this day and age, right?
So you come up with a beat, and then the beat sort of inspires the vocal and the lyrics. Is that how it's working, or?
Yeah. I mean, like I said, it really depends. Like I know. So, and then on the other side, like sometimes I'll just create like the poetry, right, and like kind of just poetry, and then fine tune it to the beat. So for this song, like I already had like some vague, like, poetic lines, I've gone through and this could be like something I'm sure we'll talk about in the episode more too, but the track and I have other tracks that are part of a release called Relationships. So like, it's all about like a ship sailing away and everything, like because I've had a lot of challenges in my relationships. And so for me, this track, I was trying to, capture the fact that I'm like frustrated, but I wanted to do it in a lighthearted way. A lot of my other music is really intense. It's really, themes that are like hard or like really emotional for people that sometimes, process. So like it's really vulnerability. And with this one, it's vulnerable, but yet it's kind of playful. And I think it works nicely for the time of year and everything like that. So it started with, just writing like poems about like, what I was going through in that relationship. So
in terms of a structure, like you're talking about like an overall song, like you have your beat, you have your verses. Is it and then you talk about something called the hook. Is there a normal sort of pattern by which it's like, is it intro, verse, then the hook, and then another verse, and then the hook, or like what do you think about when you're structuring your songs, or what comes after what?
Right. Yeah, it's a good question. And like I said, sometimes it's like just like a long verse. Sometimes it's a hook and then a verse, and then so this one, it's usually, and I think like it usually works well, is like hook, verse, hook, verse. Sorry, did I say hook, verse, hook, verse, bridge? No, hook, bridge, and then hook, and then outro. So yeah, like, but for this one, it's just like hook, verse, hook, outro. So like it usually follows that sort of pattern. And like sometimes I really like a bridge in there.
Is that pattern, is the specific pattern for a specific song led then by the lyric, by the story of the lyric?
Yeah, mostly? Absolutely. It just really is kind of like a feel thing, right? Like, and you just kind of see if you need to like have a break or not. And it really depends on the hook. Like sometimes you have a really catchy hook. I find this one's pretty catchy. So you want to get it in there in a listener's ears more, right? Like you need more hook. If your hook is like kind of, so I have another song that I'm going to be releasing as part of this one. It's a powerful hook, but it's not as like, catchy. It's not as like wordplay catchy. And so I started, instead of starting with the hook, for that song, I went verse, hook, verse, hook, instead of like hook, verse. So like getting that extra hook is really, really important. And I think it's important in most pop music, right?
Do you spend time actually, listening to your hooks and analyzing them to see if they're catchy enough, and then maybe rewriting them if they're not?
Yeah, that's a good question, Phil. I love it. Yeah, I think sometimes, like with this song, I didn't rewrite it. I just felt there was actually not true. I rewrote a portion of the end one. Yeah, so I do exactly like it's just like you said, like for like, and I think a lot of rap artists do this a lot of the time too. So like maybe this and maybe other like indie and rock artists do this too. Instead of like when you get that beat, like sometimes you're just like mumbling like gibberish over the beat, right? Like it just, you want to hear like the notes, you want to hear how it sounds, and then you put the words to it after.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's how I do stuff. Yeah.
You do that?
You have to make sure the flow is right?
Yeah.
It's so like, I think that is such a huge thing. Like if an artist is not doing that, like I think that's gold, like for any artist is really just getting the flow, getting the tone, and then putting the words to it. So I did that with Around Your Finger, and I wasn't like, I didn't really listen to any of the Police wrapped around your finger. Yeah. It's funny actually. I just heard, I was here listening on the radio, and maybe this was like a subconscious thing, but you all know the Cranberries.
Of course.
Oh yes.
Yeah. So they have a song, Linger, right? Linger.
Yeah.
And I didn't realize it, but like, it's obviously totally different. Like, delivery and tone and everything, but they have a couple of the same words, right? Like, you got me wrapped around your finger. Yeah. And then it's like, do you have to let it linger? Right? Like,
yeah, of course.
Yeah. So that's a kind of like interesting. It's interesting how like things like I didn't never piece that, but anyways, back to your point, Phil. Yeah, absolutely. Like get the main meat and potatoes out, and then I listened back and I was like, okay, I don't like the way, like originally the last part of the hook was like, no, I cannot split, but I just felt it a bit too wordy. So I was like trying to get a grip, like just little marginal things that are not like game changers, but little things sometimes make a difference, right?
They do make a big difference, because that was my next question to you. Is you ever write the lyric of a hook or have an idea for the lyric of the hook, but then the melody, like you're saying, the melody and the catchiness always trumps the language. So do you ever sacrifice something in the language to let the hook shine and be hooky? Did you ever let something go and be like, I wish I could have said it with these words, but it didn't quite fit?
Yeah, it's interesting. Like, I think if I had like more hands-on like producers with me, like if I was working with, another producer, and that's eventually one of the goals, is to be able to like bring someone on who can kind of look at it from a different angle. And that's why I get my songs mixed by someone else and mastered. But I think it's like, sometimes when you're too close to a song, it's hard to kind of like differentiate and like get that extra input. So taking space from the song like has helped a bit with that. But I think like getting an additional kind of person would be able to do that. And then further to your point, Neil, the hip hop person in me is like, no, I can't compromise. I can't compromise on lyrics. Like that's a lyricist's thing, right? And like, and further to like, I'm sure other artists like, and I don't really know how other artists do it. Maybe now you've done 400 episodes, so you can chime in with what you think. But from like a traditional hip hop lyricist's kind of point of view, it's hard for us to let someone else take like ownership of lyrics. So it's hard for me to like, once I'm like set on a lyric, it's like, okay, like, like this is the way it's got to be. So I think I could get better at that if I'm being honest, but we'll see in time, right?
Yeah, I can speak for myself personally that to be honest, I don't do this anymore, but I used when I first started writing lyrics. If I let my melody rule the space, then sometimes my lyric would end up kind of, Yoda speak or like backwards, or just to get the rhyme in there and just to get the melody in there, I would actually, it wouldn't be the way that I would say it. And so that kind of, but yeah, I guess with experience, you find the best balance between melody and lyrical content and what you want to say. Yeah, so let's take a listen to the full track. Is it wrapped around your finger or just around your finger?
Around your finger.
Just no wrapped. Okay, around your finger. No wrapped.
Yeah. I mean, you got this way of wrapping me around. You got this way of wrapping me around your finger, yeah, around your fingertips, and I just linger, yeah, trying to get a grip. You're flowing in my veins, you live inside my brain. Rent free, tempt me, but no longer will I play your games. I wanna let it flow, I wanna let you go. It's never easy with you, always so difficult. When I think about it, oh, I'll admit I don't know when I should quit, cause I can't make you commit. I'm just trying to make it fit into something it clearly ain't. Had a picture I tried to paint, didn't wanna feel this constrained. Things we do for love in vain. Yo, it's insane. You got this way of wrapping me around. You got this way of wrapping me around your finger, yeah, around your fingertips, and I just linger, yeah, trying to get a grip. I don't love the way that you love, I don't love the way that you love, cause your love is a drug to me. Your love codependency, get me high, then you say goodbye. Well, your love don't comfort me, got my anxiety to the nth degree. We ain't meant to be, it's all well, but I can't take a nail, so I'll stay put under your spell. My pride and ego won't let me smell the agony of defeat, can't let my heart skip a beat, so I rinse, repeat. It's like you keep me tethered, dangling by a thread. I'm in the deep waters and I'm too tired to tread. Yeah, I should be leaving, but I stay wrapped around your finger instead. Misled. You got this way of wrapping me around. It's like you got this way of wrapping me around your finger, yeah, around your fingertips, and I just linger, yeah, trying to get a grip.
How awesome.
Wow, very cool. Very cool.
It's different for sure.
So what do you think? What do you think, Phil?
I love that rhythm that you introduced in the second chorus, which is, I'm not sure, is that kind of like a funk guitar kind of, sort of, which I really just picked up on immediately. I thought that was really cool. It's so interesting because the chorus is, it's kind of sung, but it's not sung. It's definitely speak song-ish, something. So it's in between there somewhere. Yeah. I always kind of wondered, how do you decide? Because for each line, there's so many different ways you can hit that line, which changes the flow. And with a normal pop song, you're kind of prescribed by what you have. With hip hop, it always seems to be much more free. And how do you decide where what version of that line do you choose?
Which like, are you talking about a specific line or just in
or just
general?
even like the way you got this way of wrapping me around. You've got that, there's so many different ways of handling that line. You've got this way
like,
of wrapping
how do you decide
me
where you're going to put the
around.
emphasis, where you're going to put like the downbeats?
I mean, could you do like, a Grandmaster Flash type of thing, with this, don't put me around,
It's a good question. Wow. I love this. Sometimes you just hear it in your head. I mean, I don't know. Like that's exactly what happened to me. It's just like, I'm like, I just heard it in my head and I'm like, okay. I as soon as I heard it, I get my phone and I voice memo it. So I'm like, so I get the, you know what I mean? Like I get the pattern, I get the delivery. And, from there, it was just like, okay, yeah, like it just stuck. I mean, but you're right. Like, had I maybe, shown it to you before I mastered it, maybe it would have been totally different. Who knows, right? It's just what it is in the moment, And I think that's the beauty of music is like, there's so many different ways you can hit it in like kind of achieve like you said, subtle things can achieve like different results, right? So
yeah. Well, to me, it's all about emphasizing the words that you want to emphasize. Like you're wrapping me around, like you're really emphasizing the me. Like what's the important part of this thing? It's the me. It's not necessarily the rapping. It's the me.
Yeah.
But but it's true though. Like if you look at a line like the agony of defeat, is it the agony of defeat, or is it the agony of defeat?
Right. Where do you put the emphasis?
Where do you put the emphasis? And because the lines are all different lengths and the different number of syllables in each line, you really have the freedom, and you do play with it in a really interesting way. Like it's really varied line per line. Like there is a discernible pattern, but it's very varied pattern. Right.
Yeah.
But the words do seem to fall into place. Like you get the message, you get the vibe, you get the groove, and you get the message of lyric. It all comes through because, like I was saying before, like if you start putting emphasis on the wrong syllable, for instance, so you get that flow better, but then it doesn't make sense to the listener, right? Because your message is very important to you, right?
That's a big thing for me.
You want it to be clear. You want that to come through.
But counterpoint, if I can make a counterpoint,
yes.
Putting the emphasis on the wrong syllable can also be a hook.
It can
be the thing that people go, oh yeah, it's a song like nothing yet, or those weird things. Right. So and I guess one of the things I love about hip hop, especially when people are doing those hip hop battles and they're just freewheeling it, which blows my mind. I don't know how they could do it. It takes me months to write a song. So the fact that they just sort of do it immediately. Yeah. But I think it also gives you a certain kind of confidence to trust your performance. Mm-hmm. And it can be really dangerous for songwriters to kind of get inside your own head and to overanalyze it and lose that magic. And I think, which is why sometimes you have like you rehearse with a band and you record it, and it sounds amazing. And then you go to the studio and it never quite sounds the same because it doesn't have that magic,
Yeah. Do you do a lot of freestyling, Vivek?
I've done a bit. Like I think I would entertain like the fact of like doing more in the future, but it's not like something like I know some of my like peers do it and like they can really do it well, but it's not something I'm like super amazing at. But I think kind of to Phil's point, with like the magic, it's sometimes in like the demo. And I think that was part of like the process with this is like, with this track is like, sometimes you feel like there's magic in the demo, right? Where it's like, it sounds raw and then like, and I really sometimes have an issue with like getting a track mixed or mastered or something. And it just doesn't have that kind of energy that I'm looking for. And,
you were saying before the show, you were having a challenge mastering this track. Can you talk about that a bit?
Yeah, I'm sure lots of artists would like, definitely benefit from this. And I'm sure a lot of them probably have gone through something similar. And especially in this day and age where everything is like on streaming platforms, and, they have this, like this thing, like where they Spotify in particular, they normalize your track. So what they do is like, they'll turn down like, your volume or your gain if it's like out of its preferred range. And which my like producers have known, like they've done this before. And like my whole catalog of like 10-15 tracks that are on Spotify right now never had a problem like with my my mixing engineer, just putting mastering touches on it instead of like going to like a specific mastering engineer who puts it through like encoders and like takes into like different, it's just a different skill set mastering, than mixing.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So I, was really gung ho. I mean, I'm the firm believer of like everything happens for a reason. This is definitely a learning experience. So when I put it on like, on SoundCloud, on everything, it sounded awesome and big. Like the bass was heavy. It was just like really, like loud, almost like too loud. And then, so when we uploaded it and like the day of the release, I listened to it and it was so quiet. It was like quieter than all my catalog is almost like, I don't want to say unplayable, but it just really did a disservice to the track. And when, you're an artist, you put in all that work to like, produce it, like get those lyrics right. Like we were talking about, and like, just put that energy in it. It just really was like, for a second, it really was disheartening. And it really made me like, feel like, man, all this work, what am I doing? Like I didn't budget having like a mastering person and I didn't get this grant that I was banking on. And it's just like, it's the artistic struggle, right? To like, make sure you get quality control. Like, I don't want to put out something that I'm not, that I'm not happy with the level, or if it doesn't compete with my other tracks or other artists. And like, you know what I mean? Like from track to track, it's gotta be, at a certain level. Cause I'm not like, I'm trying to do this, I want to get better each time. And, so that was the challenge. And I guess, so my advice would be to like all the other artists, songwriters, like you're mastering your song, just make sure, your mastering engineer knows about normalization, has encoders, reference tracks, all the things that are probably like, they're already doing, but it's just good to like, follow up on that. And there's a lot of resources.
How did you actually resolve this issue then? You had a super quiet track. You send it back to the mastering engineer, said, hey, what's going on here?
Well, I sent it to a new, like, so I...
You sent it to a different mastering engineer.
So my mixing engineer, he like in the, trying to help me out and save money over the years, which he's been amazing. He's like a Juno nominated mixing engineer, an amazing professional, but he's just not a mastering engineer. So like mastering just takes into account. So I found someone on a YouTube video, and he's in Australia. He's amazing. And the good thing is the Canadian dollar is stronger than the Australian dollar.
Yay, finally.
Top one up for Canada.
Finally.
Finally. So, yeah.
And you wake up in the morning and you always get a fresh email from them.
Yeah. It's a different time zone, right? Like
different time zone. It's like, oh, they worked all night. No, they didn't. They worked all day. But still.
He's busy. But yeah, like it's hard to, sometimes get those responses. And like because I want to turn this around. Like I've got the music video for this, which is phenomenal, by the way. It's like we did it with green screen. Nice. And it's like, it's just zany and fun. It matches the weirdness of the track. Like the track is like kind of like zany, especially like Phil was saying in the second chorus where it's like bow, 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 like just like really like, it's just playful. It's really good. I'll be sure to send that out for sure to you guys.
Yeah.
I did appreciate the very Lynn drum kind of drum bass loop you used, because that's the sound of the 80s was the Lynn drum, that do-dum, do-dum,
Oh, like so that's like a reverse drum, but like it's Brandon, the mixing guy, he just put like some kind of filter on it. So it just like really sounds like it sounds really cool and gives it a nice texture, I find.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely got a good vibe, and that funk guitar thing. It's so like reminded me of Prince, reminded me of all that sort of great stuff from the 80s.
So weird mashup, and I know like I get this like kind of feedback, and like that my voice and the tone of my voice is like some people really like it, some people don't like it. Like I'm cool with that. I know it's like kind of like I don't want to say like polarizing, but it's just like could be an acquired taste. So I also wanted to lean into the fact, and I do this with my track Rubik's Cube as well. With like sometimes it's just like, okay, like I know my voice is weird or like different in a certain way. So I'm just gonna lean into that with the melodies, with the beat, and with like the delivery, which is I think great for other artists too. Like just like kind of, and that comes from like a process of really listening to your tone, kind of really understanding and getting thick skin too. Seriously, like realizing that like you're not going to please everybody, and then start leaning into what your strengths are,
Yeah.
Well, and the nice thing is people will know it's you. That's the advantage of having an unusual voice. There's lots of people who have, there's lots of great singers out there, and but they're fine. There's nothing wrong with them. They're fine. But to be, distinctive, and people go, oh yeah, I know exactly who that is. The singer from Blur, who I think he was the one who, formed the Gorillaz and
love the Gorillaz, yeah.
Yeah, so there's all these people who have interesting voices, or Leonard Cohen, or Neil Young. You knew exactly who it was. And there's lots of other bands. You're going, yeah, who's that band again? They're
they kind of sound like those other guys, or the pop singers. Man, they all sound the same. To me, they all sound the same.
Yeah, no, I feel that.
Right? So it is a you're right. It is a learned thing. You have to work at it, and you have to embrace it and be like, I don't want to sound like anybody else. I want to sound like me, and that's a good thing. It's a good place to be. Yeah,
still trying to learn it, and still trying to like kind of grow with it. And I think it's like a evolutionary thing. And it's kind of funny you're talking about Prince. Like in the hook, also I did layer in like a high, like a falsetto. And when I first got the mix back, it was like, it was okay, but it wasn't like high enough, and it wasn't enough in the mix. And I was like, no, we need to like
more of that,
turn that up. We need to, because we just need that weird, like kind of like quirky, like again, 80s, really lean into that high delivery, high pitches kind of thing, right? And hey, 80s coming back in so many genres, and like so many like pop genres. Like I can hear it in stuff on the radio, and I'm not sure like if you follow Stranger Things but like that Kate Bush, that Kate Bush track's back, right? Like, and I was just like,
huge again.
Those drums, right? Those drums are so amazing. Like it's just like, man, how could you not love that style? How could you not be inspired by that? No matter what genre you make,
Oh yeah.
I know. I'm a child of the 80s, so I'm digging it all, and I'm like, yeah, I grew up in the right time.
I definitely had lots of hair gel back in the day, and it was it was pretty cool actually. It was a good time to be around.
Yeah.
Man, I wish I was a little like older in the 80s, because like I got some of it 'cause I had an older brother, but I wish I was just like, and I was so much into like Michael Jackson and like breakdancing and like that kind of culture of hip hop and like pop. Yeah. But if I was a little bit older, I think I would just been like, man, because like times now, like we were just talking before the show started, like it's such a weird time to be alive, right? So
absolutely. Okay, and speaking of things that are older, I think that's about all the time we have for the show tonight. Special thanks to Vivek Mehmi. Awesome to have you on the show, man. Where can our listeners find more of your music?
Yeah, vivekmehmi.com.
Spell that for us, please.
Yeah, sure. VivekMehmi.com. That's the hub of everything. And at Vivek Mehmi on all social media. Got some shows coming up in the fall. Got that music video. And yeah, we'll definitely staying in touch with you.
Absolutely. And we will put links to all that stuff on our show post for this episode. So thank you, Vivek. Awesome stuff. And we want to hear from you, our listeners. So please send your comments, Twitter, Facebook, or Instagram at Song Talk Radio, or send us an email, feedback@songtalk.ca. Also, be sure to check out our YouTube channel for live performance videos and full episodes. Subscribe today to the Song Talk Radio podcast on your favorite podcast provider. And don't forget to sign up for our free newsletter at songtalk.ca, where you can find links to all the products, books, and web services we mentioned on the show on our resources page on the website. And wherever you are in the world, please join us online via Zoom at our next monthly Song Talk meetup. It's free to join on meetup.com and free to attend the meetup. Stop by songtalk.ca for the link. We look forward to seeing you there. Come with your song, share your song, get some feedback, give feedback to others. It's a great time. You can follow me at neilmodi.com. You can follow Mr. Phil.
PhilEmery.ca.
And Vivek, what's your favorite social media channel?
I'd say Instagram.
Instagram?
But, I mean, I don't really have a favorite. Like social media is like, oh.
You're all over it?
Yeah, I'm over it. But TikTok, I guess, is like kind of different. But yeah, Instagram.
Cool. All right. Thanks for listening, everybody. And be sure to stop by the website, songtalk.ca, to browse past shows and find out how you can be a guest. Thanks for tuning in, everyone, and keep on writing.
Good night.
Peace out. That was a great show.
Great show. Definitely great show.
That was awesome. That was fun.
Yeah.
I love how, the questions are different than any interview I've, done. Like usually it's about like, oh, what's your like health journey and stuff, like, which is fine. But I like, I think there's a lot of value there for artists, and it's great to, I can tell you both have, really good, insight into your craft. So thank you.
Cool. Thank you. That's great. Yeah. We're more about the craft.
Yeah. And it's also easy. Like we don't pretend to be on a radio station that has to appeal to everybody. This is so we know exactly who we want to talk to, other songwriters. And so, there's other people who will talk to you about your health journey or whatever.
Yeah.
Your family.
We did do an episode way back when on we did a whole episode based on like choices for mental health songs.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah,
really cool.
I mean it's a important theme, but it's just refreshing to just be in a different space. And are you all on Instagram? I don't know. Are you not really?
I'm on the gram. I don't post a lot on the gram. I'm a Facebook guy myself.
Facebook. Yeah. I mean, you gotta, you gotta choose one and like kind of try and manage it. It's hard, right?
Yeah.
You can only do so much.
You only do so much, but I'll be honest. I like Facebook because of the groups. There's home recording groups. There's songwriting groups. There's a group where I meet fellow tennis players. There's a group for photographers, which I also like. There's a group for everything. It's awesome.
It's really good for getting. I find it's good for getting like like just say hey, I need a bass player, or like, hey, I need like, you know what I mean? Like post it on Facebook. You'll get like gazillion replies. But are you guys cool if I take a picture and share it on?
Please do.
Social? Oh, go for it. Just do a screen cap. If you're on
it's different. Yeah, I'll try that too, but it's different with like, cause let me try that. 1, 2, 3. Oh wait, sorry. 1 sec. 1, 2. And I'll try one on my phone if it's cool.
Sure. Go ahead.
It was so well posed before.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, I say that I don't like the Instagram or all that stuff, but man, artists these days, we have to do it. Like we have to try and engage when we can,
Do you ever do anything with sample loops from records and things?
No, people send me beats. Like I just did like a track. I should play some stuff sometime, Phil, and like Neil as well. Like I'd love to like get involved in the creative stuff, but it's like, like someone sends me like records that they sample and stuff. I would love to, but I'm kind of worried about clearing it.
Yeah.
And
now.
So that's why I deal with Splice, because it's already pre-cleared. And I'll just like, and even then I'll put effects on it or resample it and like kind of like cut it and stuff. But
in the old days, it was
I-
like the Wild West back in the old days, wasn't it? Everyone was sampling freaking anything they
I
wanted and got
love-
away
like,
with it.
That's the stuff I love, you know?
the
'Cause it's-
sampling.
Yeah, because you know, you take a piece of music and you take the context and you reinterpret it. It's like, you know, it's like the Dada art movement. You know, they took they took an iron and they had nails on the bottom. Like they changed the context of stuff.
Mhm,
I just love that. And you know, the producer from Public Enemy, I never thought got enough respect because he's so good. You know, and
I don't know the producer, but I know those tracks. Yeah,
yeah,
like
I mean,
in all
Fight the
those
Power
tracks.
is just amazing. Although he apparently said they cleared most of the samples.
Oh yeah,
Was it after the fact though?
probably.
Somewhat, but because there was
It's like,
actually
oops, sorry. Do you mind if we use this?
well, there's actually hundreds of samples on Fight the Power.
Yeah.
There was even more that they stripped out, but because he wanted to do a version of Sgt. Pepper for hip hop.
Oh, really?
And so he had a whole crew of people going out and finding loops and samples and sounds, and it's such a masterpiece. And I love that stuff, but it doesn't happen as much anymore.
No.
You guys are definitely talking I came across this TikTok where they were talking about, Dave Grohl,
Oh yeah.
and Dave Grohl, so when he was doing drum patterns and stuff for like the Nirvana record, I think it was Nevermind. He was like, and I used to be before I was so I went I started in pop and stuff, but I went through a huge grunge phase, which we didn't really talk about, but like in 90s, that was my stuff, Nirvana, Soundgarden, I was really into that kind of stuff, Stone Temple Pilots. And I found it so interesting, the drum sample on or the drumming on Smells Like Teen Spirit, he got from he was inspired by funk drumming,
and disco.
Kind of weird, and you're like, really? But he was like funk or what was it you know what I mean, like the double hits, and that was big in I don't know if it was funk or something maybe even disco or something kind of that era where it was really they use that kind of drumming which I just find that kind of content so awesome to think how other people are inspired. So yeah, I think you guys are onto some really, really powerful stuff with your show.
Yeah, no, it's good fun.
Cool. Thank you, man.
We enjoy it.
Yeah.
And I just spilled my water.
Oh no.
Spilled my water.
Hopefully
Well, you
not
should never have
people.
water on around your studio, kids.
Just have it at arm's length reach and then.
Yeah, that's true.
Oh yeah, you got a lid. That's way smart.
Yeah. Thank you, Starbucks.
I got a lid. Ooh.
Cool. Well, I really appreciate it.
Yeah.
You want to let me know when it's out
When it's
or
published, we'll send you a note when it's online, and you can share it with your peeps. Share it on the gram.
yeah, I'll give you guys some. I'm pretty good at getting at promo, so I'll
Cool.
definitely make sure you get some love on that.
Awesome.
That would be
Yeah, we
awesome.
love it.
And on my website too, probably once I update it. But yeah, right now, just promoting this track coming up next week, and then because I'm re-releasing it on Friday, and then cool. Appreciate the time and appreciate the love, and wish you guys all the best.
Yeah,
All right.
you too, man.
Thanks so
And
much for coming on the show.
talk to your fellow hip hopians and tell them about us, because we want some more hip hoppers on our show.
I think they're hip hop rights. I believe.
Some
is
good
the-
Yeah, like if you seriously, if you have friends and stuff in the realm that you think would be a good fit for us, then
Okay.
yeah, just send them a note and say, look, I had a great time on the show. You should maybe check it out.
Okay, we'll do.
Yeah, cool, man.
All right, guys.
Great.
Yeah,
All right.
thanks so much
All
again.
right, cheers. Have a
Have
good
great
one.
night.
Okay,
Take care.
peace.
Laters.